right, let's start. So how did you decide to enter a career in energy?
Well, I've always worked in trading technologies across the board. I started off in financial markets looking at equity options, and then I had an opportunity to move into the European energy space, which was really interesting because those markets are dynamically very different. The workflows are very different, so it was a very fun jump. And then I moved into looking at refined oil, where I was able to get a deeper understanding of the workflows in that market. A lot of things that work really well, and some things, where there were some pain points I felt could be solved with some technology, which is really kind of what led me towards building Sphere to begin with.
And now I understand you're the Chief Revenue Officer at Sphere and you're also the co-founder. How
Yeah.
did you come to solidifying an idea for establishing Sphere?
Thanks. Growing up, my dad's a business owner, and I saw him start a company and sell a company and start another company. So I really saw firsthand the kind of Herculean effort it would take to get something off the ground. And the best piece of advice he ever gave me growing up is, Heather, if you're doing something that makes someone's work life, improve it in some way, then you're not selling something to them. You're really just helping them out. And that's something that really stuck with me. And so when Ami approached me with the idea for Sphere, and with the support of my family and knowing that we'd be able to build a really great team, I, of course, jumped at the opportunity. We had been working in this market for quite some time. And when we looked at everything that was out there currently, we saw that it was a lot of solutions that were looking for a problem, not necessarily the other way around. And so what we wanted to do is really take technology and build something that wraps the technology around the pain points that we saw in the market, and to try and alleviate some of those inefficiencies. Kind of stepping back, just to kind of give a little bit of context, around 90% of refined oil financial derivatives are traded over voice. And as we all know, they're they're highly liquid, volatile, interlinked markets with a lot of complex supply-demand variabilities. And so, we really wanted to make sure we were addressing that. These markets are also very fragmented. And so if I put myself in the position of an average trader, they receive upwards of around 5,000 data points daily, which is just a sheer huge amount of information and data to crunch through manually. And if you kind of look at that data that they're receiving, it's all unstructured, right? My broker needs to communicate with me very quickly. And so what does that mean? It means that when he's giving me a price, he doesn't say when the price is negative. If the price is 150, he drops the 100, right? Kind of classic example for us is the ARB, right? Like, okay, great, it's an ARB, but which ARB, right? There's loads of them. And so I think actually in the previous podcast that you did, the woman that you were interviewing, she actually talked a lot about the sheer amount of information and data people are receiving right now. They're just getting kind of inundated with it, and how imperative it is that that data is kind of not only like clear and easy to read, but that it's clean, so that it's usable and people can actually make decisions from it. If I think about the markets that we work with and our clients, traders and brokers, it's their job to make sure that they know exactly where the market's trading at all times and have the finger on the pulse of all of that information. And so when we were looking at Sphere and building Sphere, we developed the ability to process all of that all those complexities, all of that unstructured data coming at people in real time, using our proprietary AI, in providing the trader an easy, consumable view of the market to allow them to make faster decisions, more informed decisions, while at the same time preserving that broker and trader relationship that is just so integral to the market. And of course, we have that on a desktop and mobile so that as people move around and sunshine, they can kind of make sure that they're always staying well informed.
And from that standpoint, and as you're very intertwined with technology, how do you see the innovations that are disrupting the industry now?
Well, I think, there's a lot of new technologies and new developments coming out there across the board. Ultimately, from what I see, the key is always, and the key and the challenge, right, is always making sure that there's the right fit between the technology that's being developed and actually the purpose and the problem it's trying to solve. I think, if I look at us, we are just getting started. We have a pretty fantastic tool for frontline traders. But now our job is really to kind of work with our client base and just really help them unlock the full potential of that data that they're receiving.
And do you think this accessibility to data and the acceleration of technology will help speed up energy transition or otherwise?
I think, of course, technology needs to be a key driver in the transition. I think we're seeing so many new technologies emerge that can really help in that energy transition. And kind of, again, speaking from like an AI and data perspective, the use of AI and machine learning, something that a lot of people are talking about right now, I think it can not only help predict some demand, but really, help enhance some of those operational inefficiencies that exist in the markets currently. Most importantly, though, all of that kind of being said, I really don't feel like it has to be a zero-sum game. I think that AI technology can be very useful in bridging that gap between helping solve some of those pain parts that are out there currently, while at the same time maintaining the relationships and the workflows that people value most. And finding that balance that really is kind of the key to all of it moving forward in the right way.
In this very dynamic energy industry that's currently been driven by all key players in the industry, what is your perception of female leadership?
I think, when I was at IE Week a couple of weeks ago, I heard some stats that in energy market in general, it's around 30%. In refined oil, it's a little bit less, say between kind of 17 and 20%. But overall, that's increased compared to some years ago, and kind of if you look at the trend historically. And ultimately, it's because, businesses are seeing, what they value most is good talent. And they're seeing that having women in the workforce and more broadly speaking, diversity ultimately leads to better results and more successful teams. And this is something really that I'm seeing as I speak to companies all over the globe, and it's something that you see across different cultures, that increase in diversity in women in the workforce. Speaking for myself, especially since I've started Sphere, the women I've come across are just so confident and strong and really inspiring. And absolutely, young women out there that are looking, what to do in their careers, I would 100% recommend taking a look at the energy space, because not only is it a very exciting kind of field, but it's something that's tangible that we can kind of all relate to on a daily basis.
Is there something you would tell your younger self in contrast to when you were just starting?
Yeah, I think, as we grow and, learn and we meet new people, I've lived in a couple countries now, and you start to develop a confidence in yourself and kind of in your abilities in general. And that's something I definitely wish I had had many years ago when I was starting.
And from that standpoint, do you think the industry lacks something in reaching the diverse playground that it is?
I think that, on the kind of diversity and the technology, we kind of touched on a lot of it. In general, there's a lot of technology advancements that can help the industry move forward. But ultimately, I think the bottom line is the key in all of that is just making sure that the technology do only ever work if it's done in a manner which fits the industry that it's trying to enhance or move forward, right? It's really about the technology and the fit, you know, a lot of times you see technology just for being technology for the sake of it. And it really kind of like, that is kind of my main goal here, right? Is in the main goal of kind of what we did at Sphere. For us, like the biggest thing is just really around the fact that we built this to kind of allow people to continue the parts that they valued in the market, continuing the way they are, and then just kind of like fix the parts that weren't, right? And really it was just around, and that's kind of how we got started. And it's been a very positive message when you go out and talk to people, because you're not trying to shake things up in this revolutionary way that everybody has to, you know, go from 0 to 100 in technology. It's not about that. It's about kind of having technology be kind of more of an assistant, right, in helping them in their daily workflows. And I think that's always a positive message you have with people. And the proof is in the pudding, because when they start using it, they're the ones that can tell you right away whether it's helping them or not. And so that's always a really kind of rewarding feeling, is when, you know, there's a lot of challenges. But when it works out, it's hugely rewarding, because you're like, yeah, I helped them. You know, I did that.